Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for a CSGO stream on the StarLadder channel. It's been a very long time since StarLadder's been in the game, and I'm so excited. And I feel grateful to be actually here on the broadcast again, Hawk, because StarLadder's always been fun to work with. And we're back again for some CIS action. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm excited about CIS just in general. I think there's a lot of players we're watching out for. Even in this qualifier, there's some really good teams. So I'm excited to see who gets to the main event and who could maybe cause some upsets.
Exactly right. I'm just going to apologize for everybody at home right now as well, because I'm in a little bit of a temporary setup. I've got hay fever. I don't know what's going on, Hawk. Probably a lot of sniffles going in today. But yeah, we're hopping into the CIS action. We're taking a look at the teams that are coming into the closed qualifier. This is the step before we get to the main event for those final few spots up for grabs. Overall, Hawk, you know, the CIS region's been pretty strong so far in the major qualification process. You've got a lot of great teams really close up there. There's no clear favorite pulling ahead. You've got Team Spirit up there in the top spot right now with the RMR points, Navi in behind, Gambit just below them, and Virtus Pro in following behind them. So, I mean, you have so many teams just so close. It's only a couple of 100 points difference between the top teams. So, you know, every team that can get up in there can definitely cause a few problems. And as we head into the qualification process of the closed qualifier, the team I'm really looking forward to seeing is the likes of Entropiq and Force. I think they're the two teams to beat coming into this one, but there's a lot of closer teams coming in behind them. And you can see, take a look at the standings here, as I was just mentioning, Hawker, you know, it's Team Spirit at the top, Navi in behind, but Gambit right in behind them as well. I mean, all the best teams in the world right now coming from this region and all competing to get to the World Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is those top 5 teams that have a chance to get into those major stages. Different stages depending on where you finish those. So you are aiming for those top 2 spots where you would get the legend status. Right now, it's actually Spirit and Navi sitting there. So the fact that Gambit is pretty much the best team in the world right now, are down in 3rd, just goes to show how competitive some of these tournaments have been.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Obviously, coming into the close qualifiers, Entropiq have just missed out on grabbing that top spot. Akuma's got in there, so Entropiq's going to have to try and battle back to get their way up into the top 5. And right now, I feel like Entropiq have a very good chance at moving forward through the close qualifier to get to that mid event. And Hawker, right? It's been kind of a weird turnaround recently with the CIS region. We've always seen the talent up and coming. It was just kind of a question of when it was going to happen, when are we going to see the upshift and these teams becoming much stronger in this whole world, and they've been able to do it this year, and you can see some of the best teams in the world coming from this region. So definitely a lot of points on the line, a lot of pride on the line for these teams as well. As you head into our groups for the close qualifiers, though, it's going to be Entropiq leading the way against their opening game. And they're going up against a team called Can. Now, coming into this one, it's a few names you'll be familiar with, but Entropiq should be taking this opening one. We're going to get to that very, very shortly. And then our second game of the day here on the A stream will be Namiga versus X Marlian. Which match are you most excited for, Hawker?
I'm excited to see Entropiq here. I think especially with there being 2 chances to go through to the main event, I think they've got a really good chance of making it all the way through that Group A. And then going over to Group B, we've got Forza going up against Esports Club Kiev to begin with. Excited to see what Forza can do. I think they've got to make sure they can make it through to that main event to get those points in the bag. And I think the same can be said for K23 against 100 Ping Gods. This group might be a bit more open, but I think still plenty of good teams in both groups to really show us what they can do here.
Yeah, well, obviously, like I was just saying, that's going to be 2 streams running simultaneously. You're currently watching the A stream, and on the A stream today, we'll have Entropiq versus Can starting very, very shortly, and then later on, we'll have Force versus Esports Club Kiev. Definitely 2 games to keep your eye on. Some of the best teams coming into today, obviously Entropiq and Force. So looking forward to seeing those teams play. The other matches will be over on the B stream, which is StarLadder CIS RMR, so take a look at that one. But hopping into our first match of the day is going to be Entropiq versus Can. And I think it's quite obvious who the favorite coming into this one's going to be, Hawker, but do you feel like Can might have a chance?
It's hard to give them much of a chance. I think that the main thing we're looking at is can Khan just compete, maybe make some maps close, maybe even steal away a map win, because there is a chance that Entropiq don't come into this as prepared as maybe they should be. They're used to playing in those main events. They're used to making it through these qualifiers. And I think this Khan team is more just a mix of players, so there might not be much research you can do on these guys. And because of that, I'd like to just see them come out and just take some risks and really try and make Entropiq uncomfortable.
Well, they've got that risk straight away. Vertigo coming in as the pick for Can. I have seen a lot of underdog teams in these qualifiers go towards Vertigo picks. I like it. I like the little bit of a risk. I think it's good to play it a bit more risky, try and catch your opponent off guard. Overpass coming in as the pick for Entropiq.
Yeah, and that's a map that a lot of the CIS teams like. I think for Entropiq, generally, Overpass and Dust 2 are two great maps for them. On Overpass, they've won their last 4 times they've played it, so they're really happy with that pick. They're really comfortable with that. I think the big question is, what do we see as the decider, and which team, if any, decides to take out Ancient? Well, the answer is neither of them. We actually see that ban of Dust 2 coming in at the end there, so looks like Entropiq would rather go to the Ancient than the Dust 2. Maybe just because that Dust 2 can be a bit higher variance sometimes, but still, Ancient is kind of similar, being one of those newer maps in the pool. You never know what your opponents are going to come through with on.
This is the first tournament I've casted, Alex, where we've got Ancient in the map pool. I really wanted to go to a third map. We've got to cast a game on Ancient, but it was a show match, right? It wasn't a very high-quality game. Sorry, Sponge Machine. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what we've got if we get over to that third map. But realistically, do you think we're going to go there, or do you think this is going to be the 2-0?
I think it should be the 2-0. I think Entropiq are pretty solid on Vertigo for what it's worth. You know, 67% win rate, but not just that, the teams they're losing against are big sinners. These are actually really good Vertigo teams. So I don't think there was a clear punish pick here, sadly, for Khan. And even though they have some of those tenured players like Edward, they have Rage and Topa in there, who I know are decently well-known players too. They've got some names, they've got some players, but I don't think they're going to have the cohesion and the level overall to deal with Entropiq, who should be the best team at this qualifier.
So why don't we actually just talk about the rosters? We didn't have a graphic showing that, so I guess we can do it ourselves here. And you know, when you look at Entropiq, you guys are going to be pretty familiar with most of the names here. We've got the likes of Nickelback, Crad, Lackey, Elian, and Forrester. Some of the best up-and-coming players in the CIS region there as well. Forrester's been incredible to watch. Crad has always been very, very solid in his role. He can be a very cutthroat player in terms of the ability he's able to get in some of those entries. So I think you've got a lot of skill on this team, and Elian or Elian has been a very good AWPer for the past couple of years, Alex. I think from the beginning of my casting career, I've seen this guy sort of tearing it up in these tier 3, tier 2 teams. So he's definitely capable. Over on the Khan team, you know, you've got Edward, Rage, Topa, Capacho, and Laugh. And I mean, we've seen Rage actually play for the Hard Legion teams. He's played with some of these guys before. I mean, both teams definitely have a lot of skill. The experience maybe coming out of Edward for Cam, but that's about it, right? None of the rest of the team have any experience at all. So luckily we're in this online era, but Entropiq have shown that they can be very, very comfortable. Definitely should be the team coming out on top here.
Definitely, and I can just read some recent results to even just give you an idea of that, right? You look at the last RMR event, Entropiq actually got wins against Na'Vi and VP early in the tournament. Now, they did have to play them again, and they lost those rematches, but those are still incredible wins to have. Whereas for Khan, well, this lineup, that they've only been playing in the qualifier, and the teams they beat to get here were Sky 7, and then a team called Anime plus W. So I don't know what level of skill that is going up against, but I think they still look like a decent squad, considering the players they have. And I'm actually excited what we're going to get to see from Laugh, because he was their best player in the qualifier, and I know basically nothing about this guy. Well, so for me, it's a learning process for me too.
Yeah, he might give us a laugh, Hulk. You never know, right? But we take a look at some of the qualification teams. You've just said anime. It's scary enough going up against a team if they got anime profile pictures. Never mind if they have anime in their name. So, I mean, I'm going to take a lot out of that result. Anybody that beats a team that has anime in their name, I'm going to go with that. They did actually drop a map against them as well. So, I mean, when you take a look at some of the teams they've been playing against, there hasn't been very many good teams there. So I think, you know, coming into this tournament, if they make it through the close qualifier, they get to play against some of the best teams in the world. And that definitely excites me. So I think some of these up-and-coming teams, you never really know what to expect from them because they haven't been playing that long together, right? A couple of these roster moves pretty recently. I wonder what is really going on over at the camp for Can. How much preparation is really going into this? First of all, what are their expectations coming into this as well, right? Because this close qualifier, is this just a way of getting some server time, some experience against some of the better teams, or do they really feel like they can make it to the main event? Because when you look at the teams like Entropiq, they're obviously looking to try and get into that main event. They're currently in 6th place overall in the standings, getting one more spot at a big event, and then placing highly. That could really help their chances as 5 teams move through to the major. So Entropiq are the next team in line to get a spot at the major over in Stockholm at the end of the year. So it's definitely a lot on the line here right now for this Entropiq side. They can't afford to drop an early BO3 against a team like this.
Absolutely. They should be looking just to get this win instantly. And I mean, for the Khan side, you even look at some of the recent games we have on record for Edward, for example. His games in that qualifier were his first games on HLTV for 9 months. So he's maybe not been playing against that high level of competition. I'm sure he's been playing the game. I'm sure he's going to be at a decent level individually. We know Edward is a very tenured player in this region. We know that he's going to be able to hold his own, but he might not be at the peak of his abilities if he's not been getting that server time in. Who even knows how much he's played Ancient personally? We could get to see that if we get to that map. But for Entropiq, a lot of these CIS teams that have stuck together, that are almost looking to follow in that mold of Gambit, they're just straight up grinders, man. They put so much time into making sure they have a big map pool, to making sure they understand each other well. And I think that will honestly be the biggest difference here. I think skill-wise, that'll be a bit of a difference, but just the team play should be great for Entropiq compared to Khan.
Especially because right now, when you're looking at the CIS region, it's all about just being better at the simple stuff right now as well. Just being quicker at the procedures and just being a little bit more habitual in terms of how just relying on the repetitions that you have in practice, right? And if you're not together as a team, you have to think a little bit more about that. You're going to slow the process down. The likes of Entropiq will have all of those fundamentals, all of those basic systems in place where everything's just going to run a bit smoother. They're going to just be a well-oiled machine, and they've stuck together for a long time as well. So they've just been going strength to strength, and I really do feel like Entropiq are going to be coming in with a confident mindset as well. And I think these are all abstract concepts people don't really look at too much from the outside, but you have to really consider them going into a game like this because, you know, Entropiq, if they're in a good mindset, they've been sticking together, they're playing well together. I think, honestly, you can't really underestimate the strength that brings to the server. And you look a little bit beyond the individuals and more about the culture of the team. And I think Entropiq definitely have the huge advantage there. We're just going to be taking a little bit of a moment to get right into this game, Alex. But when you look at Vertigo, what can we expect of this? Because obviously Can don't even have a percentage coming in because they've only played it twice. They don't really have too many maps to look at, but they've definitely shown a willingness to play the map. What do you think we're going to be expecting to see in terms of a game plan from either of the sides here?
I believe this was the map that was picked both times by Khan in their qualifier games. Yeah, they picked it both times and they got those 2 wins, like you pointed out. So that's a positive sign, I think, for Khan. They looked pretty balanced on both sides in terms of where they were getting their wins too. I just think over on the Entropiq side of things, sure, you may not have this as one of your go-to maps all the time, but I still think just looking down their results, they're just really solid. You know, they even have wins against VP if you go back a month, right? That's a really good win on this map. VP, you know, slouches. You know, you've got to deal with that Yakindar aggression. And for this Entropiq team, I think a man you pointed out earlier was Forrester, and I really like what Forrester does on this team because I think he is a very reliable and stable piece of this team. I think he's one of the more cerebral players I've seen on this squad. He makes a lot of good decisions, and he also has the aim to back it up. So he's got the second highest rating on this team, but I don't think he's put in those spots where he should be necessarily getting all those kills. He just plays really smart and has solid aim, and because of that, you get more out of him than I think you might expect to from other players in his roles.
Yeah, and I think the one thing for Entropiq that I've seen a lot of is they kind of need to rely a little bit more on some of these more passive, supportive players because they have so much aggression and so many players that like that play style. When you have players in a team like that, you generally see the more successful international teams when they've got aggressive players. They generally will have someone to combat that and be the sort of contrast in the team. For example, over at Virtus Pro, you have Yakindar, and then you have team players like Sanju who can really supplement some of that aggression and pick up some of the scraps and make sure that you have all the resources all of the time. And I think when you look at this team, you're going to be looking at the likes of Lackey and Nickelback for that role. I think you've got your 3 big hitters of Krad, Forrester, and Li, and you can rely on those players quite a lot. But the unsung heroes will certainly be Lackey and Nickelback to sort of supplement some of that aggression, help them. Because you are going to die a lot with that playstyle, right? You're going to be throwing a lot of money away. So you've got to have players in the team that are building that cash reserve, building up all of your resources. Because if you have players that are going in for those hard entries over and over again, you will lose some of them. No one's going to go in and win a fight 100% of the time, right? So it's definitely important to look at the system overall here from Entropiq, and that's kind of what I'm expecting. And I have to see that come into play throughout the close qualifiers. I can't just see like dropping the ball because they're going up against some of these weaker teams. I want to see Entropiq coming into this close qualifier playing the way they want to play heading into the main event, because you have to get some of these repetitions in if you're going to beat the likes of Gambit, Na'Vi, and Virtus Pro, right? These are not easy teams to beat right now. These are the best teams in the world, and you have to put the practice in early on. This is actually an advantage. To play in the close qualifier, you have a bit of an advantage in terms of getting ready for that main event.
Yeah, they should get a chance to get some reps in early, which I think is nice. I also think for this team, just looking at how they did in the last RMR event, the players weren't maybe hitting the same numbers you might expect them to. So Elian, for example, at that last RMR event, only had a 1.08 rating, which is definitely below what you normally see from him numbers-wise. But I think that just goes to show how hard a lot of the games they had to play were, because when he was playing the weaker teams, he was still destroying them. And I think that's the biggest issue here for Khan, is that if you can't deal with Elian, if you don't have good nades or good trades onto the AWP of Elian, he's the kind of player who can just take over the game. And I think against top-level opposition, he's still trying to figure that out. But against a team like Khan, he could be an absolute game changer here. If Elian's playing well, I think he could just absolutely take over this series.
Yeah, I think Elian, the question will be for his future is how is he going to perform against some of these better teams? Because his entire career has been played against some of these weaker teams, all of these sort of up-and-coming tournaments, but he's never really had the chance to go on to play at a better team and really show us what he's made of against some of the best teams in the world. So I do want to see what he's got in the locker. I feel like against these teams in the close qualifiers, he shouldn't have many issues, but I am looking to him for the future for Entropiq. He could definitely turn them into that elite CIS team, one of the teams that can really be a dark horse against some of the better teams in the main event. So yeah, definitely keeping my eyes on him, but we're hopping right into the game. Entropiq versus Can here on Vertigo. Map number 1 picked by Can, as they'll start on the T side, and we're right back into things, Hawkers. StarLadder HUD's back in play. I'm excited. Let's get into it.
Let's see what Khan can do. It's their map pick. And if they're going to have a chance in this series, we want to see them getting off to a strong start on Vertigo. They're currently sitting outside that B site. Forrester's got a bit of an off angle here for this early fight, and he'll spot out the players before falling back.
Yeah, well, Nickelback's back here alongside him, and Forrester, he spotted one just alone with the bomb. Laugh has run up into the corner. And Forrester is getting lots of opportunities, but no kills just yet. And finally, Forrester getting something. A headshot in, 2 kills for the CT side. 1 blow back from Cam, but it's not going to be enough to put them in a comfortable position, especially with that bomb down. And Krad's getting from behind him as well, so there's no fallback potential. Luckily, the fights have come in, and suddenly, somehow, we're in a 2v2. Edward tries his best, but will go down to Elian, and now it's Ridge in the 1 versus 2. Low health on Ridge, but high health on his 2 opponents, and that is a big issue for Ridge as he now comes back into play. Up the stairway, bomb still down on the left side ledge, and Elian's tucked in the corner, so Ridge definitely has a difficult task ahead of him, Alex.
Oh, he hears that player, but Elian peeks up, and the shots to the body are more than enough to finish the job. 1-0 lead for Entropiq, and we're already seeing some of the different tasks that Khan are going to have to try and overcome. I think in this pistol round, the counter utility seemed to make a big difference, right? There was that flash in towards ramp, or stairs rather, that just slowed Khan down so much. That bomb was so far ahead of everyone else. And so even though they did an okay job at winning a fair few fights and putting it into a winnable position, their overall strategy to start the round kind of looked like it got completely caught out by that counter utility.
Yeah, it definitely felt like the pistol was over before it really even got started, unfortunately, for Can. Although a few mistakes, a few scrappy moments from Entropiq across the board did allow them to come back into it. He's going to try and play out mid with multiple opponents. Krad just holding him from elevator. Incendiary at the ready to try and throw them down. Shot whizzes past Krad's head at elevator. Looking for some easy money with this MP9, looking to build them up, and Molotov pulled out, but he's dinked up and dropped back. Lackey now getting involved with his FAMAS, and they have got that opening kill, getting closer and closer to the bomb site for the goal of getting that bomb down, but it's just so many players, so many bodies in the way, and no chance for the bomb plant. Entropiq will find themselves a 2-0 lead, and Can, no bomb plant in either round, so they will lack some utility coming into this first gun round, but they've got the AKs out.
They've got the AKs, and this is the sort of round where they might want to try and use some pace, which is something you can do on Vertigo. On one hand, they have low utility, so the fast-paced play could be a good idea. But on the other hand, you know that Entropiq probably have some weaker weapons of their own. So you wouldn't want to run straight into that MP9 close range, for example. I think because of that, Khan are going to take a more standard approach to start this round. We're already seeing this ramp position, which is oh so important, being hotly contested. Both teams using nades here, but it's Krad who's pushed all the way up close with that SMG.
He'll get his reward, and that's the aggression we're talking about with Krad. He loves to get in and close to his opponents, get inside of the smokes, push down into the ramp. Be a real nuisance for them. And he gets back away. They know that through the sound cue. Capacho. He's got his way out towards the B stars. No control taken for Entropiq. In fact, they've kind of respected the B side of the map. And Capacho's going to try and use that to at least pull something back. Now they've lost ramp control. Getting B is almost a priority here for Capacho, but smoke goes down. He's forced away, and now Laugh going forward through the Molotov, separated from his teammate. And another kill for Krad of this MP9. The weakest gun in play, Alex, has got the most work done so far.
Just shows how good that MP9 can be. You see it picked up so often for this exact reason. It's great against players without Kevlar, and it can still work against players with armor too. Finally, Edward fighting back for Khan, though. He needs a bit more because Nickelback is still waiting around the corner, and there's only 25 seconds left on the clock.
Yeah, there's not good enough. Flash into the site. They've got to go here. Edward opening things up. Good headshot. Can he get a second? It's Capacho that stepped up, but Krad has come in. He's got a 4K in this round. A great start to the game so far from Krad, and it would be even better if he could close it out with an ace, but there's two players still standing. Bomb plant starting to come through, and Forrester denies it. Krad with a 4K, Forrester backing him up, and 3-0. Entropiq will win the round. And unfortunate for Can, yet again, just not getting that bomb down, not really getting close enough to the round win. And they're once again in an economic situation where you will get a couple of upgraded pistols, you get a MAC 10 out, but right now Entropiq certainly looking like the better side, individually speaking.
Yeah, they are looking a little better individually, but I also think just the way that Entropiq are taking a lot of the chances away from Khan early is making a big difference in that. But here comes a faster play.
Yeah, very fast indeed. Forrester getting a double kill. One with the AK, the other with the Incendiary. That's held them off. Capacho, it was actually rich to find it. Capacho with a dig of his own, and suddenly too many opportunities presented and 2 kills in for Can. Bomb down on the stairway. In fact, it's on the CT side of the stairs, so that makes things very difficult for Can. They've got to go up there, risk their life to try and pick up that bomb. It's not like they can just snatch it, run back down the stairway. They have to really expose themselves, and that might just cost them. In fact, Entropiq, due to having that bomb down, they're actually in a winning situation right now. They've won the round as long as they just don't make any mistakes at this point.
Oh, it's a shame that Rage went down there, because this flank from Laugh is something that Entropiq are going to have to be worried about. There was so much time on the clock that Laugh on your left side of the screen can try and get in behind them. And if he can cause some chaos at the right time, maybe there's a way in. But you can see the CTs are watching for this.
Yeah, Laugh definitely sneaking in behind, but Nickelback is completely aware. And that's the luxury of having so many players left alive. And I mean, Entropiq definitely overstepped the market at the beginning of the round, but once they realize, okay, we've just lost 2 players, but we've got the bomb, let's just sit back. Let's win this round. Let's not lose too many players. And their economy's not in the best of spots, so it's definitely the right call to do that. They get themselves the 4-0 lead here on Vertigo, and Can getting the AKs out. This time they've got a bit more utility, so they're not going to be looking for as many of those jewels. And like you said early on, you hinted at the way Entropiq are kind of stopping these early jewels from being comfortable for Can. That can be somewhat neutralized through the fact you've got utility now.
Oh, it's a great flash, and eventually a kill coming in for Rage. Forrester was there for the refrag, but an even trade early for Khan will help them out. I think it might help them in terms of the CTs not having the same options available to them as well. It's less likely you'll see CT aggression, especially now that Nickelback's been sent to an early grave.
Yeah, good crosshair placement and pre-aim that from Rage going around the corner. Fantastic headshot. Or Laugh shot, I say. Topa walking up the ramp, and they still have got the man advantage over here for Can. Definitely feeling much better about this round and potentially a chance to get one on the board. They're first locked in. As they go towards the A site, it's the Nemesis Crad, who's been fantastic so far, 6-1 at the beginning of the StarLadder RMR. He's going to throw his nade down into the rampways, and still a man down right now, so he can change that. He could turn this into a favorable situation for Entropiq. He's going to get inside of the smoke, repositions, get aggressive, and it's going to be Crab with 1 kill coming in. Elliot inside of the smoke, in the belly of the beast right now as Can continue to move forward. His teammate's been brought out of the round, so Elian has a lot more pressure on his shoulders. He could deny the plant, but gets off the bomb quickly as Edward is going to go back this time, planting safely behind the boxes. He's got his teammate out to his right side as well to defend him. Bomb goes down. Elian not provided another opportunity, but he's got the rifle beside him this time. But right now, it's all about the rifle, and it's Forrester on the headshot. Edwards down. Puts it into a 2v2 as Rage and Topa just both sit back. They're going to play that time, run it dry, tap onto the ball, but no one's sticking it. Topa now goes aggressive, tries to fight them. Finally a kill in, but this time from Rage. And now Elian considers saving the AWP. There's no time to win around. There's nothing he can do. Not enough done on the initial holds in those early battles, one for Can. So finally a round on the board for them.
And that's exactly why I think those early kills are going to be so important in these rounds. If Khan can even get early trade kills, just something to stop Entropiq from putting that early pressure on them, Khan should be so much more comfortable with some of these plays. Because we know they're competent on Vertigo. We know they won it 2 times in the qualifier. The issue up until this point was that they didn't have the comfort level in having the chance to set up their plays. Entropiq were taking away a lot of the map from them. They were taking away a lot of the plays that Khan could run. But in this round, I think you get to see early trades, a chance for Khan to run one of their plays, and it goes well for them.
Topa up the rampways. Just going to try and throw that Molotov deep into short. Try and force that position back. You will see some players... Ooh, he's actually made a tick damage sound as well there, so he's got information. There is one player at least playing close towards short. But you will see some players throw the variation of a deeper Molotov in there to try and force the player into the fight at short, but that one is meant to force them back so you can get that short control. Krat's going to try and get up on top of this boost, and that might work for them. Might just get 1 kill as the smoke starts to fade away. He's got info, but again, another sound cue coming in for Cam. We'll see if they can play with that. They have slowed things down, not committing into the A site just yet, but they're getting ready. And this might just be a late round execute coming in from Can.
Oh, Nickelback's nearly dead. 8 health left as those shots land through the wall. It may now be metal, but it's still dangerous. Whoa. Rage there coming close on a shot, but can't commit to the A site.
Yeah, good old Boomer reference there, Hawking. Remember that wall used to be made of wood, but we've upgraded Vertigo. It's not quite there yet, but it's doing better. And a couple of kills coming in for the CT side. 4v3 right now for the defensive side, and the bomb down as well. Definitely adds a little cherry on top of the situation. As Edward starts to walk forward, gap on the edge of the smoke as Nickelback spams on in, and Elian with the wall bang. Edward's got a double kill though, and that suddenly turns it into a winnable situation, but he's not ready for Forrester out to his left side. I thought for a second there Edward really had a chance, but not to be, and it's 5-1 up for Entropiq. They bite back after losing their first round.
Edward's looking pretty sharp early in this game though. A couple of times he's had a chance to put that AK to use. He's definitely made the most of it. And I think that's the story of this game for me so far, is that Khan don't look too bad individually. They are getting some kills. It's just Entropiq are generally having those slight edges, having those ability to rotate and get those trade kills together. And now in this round, Khan's economy is not in a great place. They've got some AKs, but one of them has already been lost.
Yeah, Forrester just hits the headshot this time. You know, he did take significant damage himself through the wallbang, but the headshot makes the difference. Opening kill for Forrester, and that's not exactly the start you'd be looking for if you can as well. Take a look at the economy. It's not in a great spot. AKs, only 2 of them. Maybe Edward boosted up. He did say he looked crisp in the last round, but now he's got to be crisper. He's moved on in. He's found himself the trade kill, but it's still a man down up until that point. Luckily, Nickelback, there's too many players in this B site right now. The defense just have 2 players wherever they go, and Can have not been able to get close enough to that B site. It's once again an impossible task of a 1v3 clutch, and Elian's taking Topa out. There's a flank coming in as well, so it's 6-1 up Entropiq definitely looking much more comfortable here on the defensive side. They've had a few rounds where maybe they give away too many frags, but for the most part, they're definitely looking like they have a great understanding of when to rotate and how they're going to rotate to have enough players inside of the side. They haven't really been second-guessing the rotations at all.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think every time the round looks like it's about to open up for Khan, that extra player arrives for Entropiq and kind of just shuts it down, right? It feels like the round's going to be close, and then they get denied, and it ends up being fairly comfortable for Entropiq, who are looking pretty solid right now. 6-1 lead, but this time they've got the AKs to deal with. It's that same angle for Forrester, but he falls early, and that could leave the B site vulnerable.
Definitely could, as Lackey repositions into quad. It's all about not checking the spot for him. Can he get away with it? Edward's in with one, blinded, but it's Lackey now stepping out, finding the bomb, finding Edward. And they know where he is now. The element of surprise from this position is gone. And Topa, he's trying to get into the A site. So if his teammates can fall off, they still have time to get back up to the A site. But Topa's been spotted. Elian brings him down. And now all they can afford to do is go in for this B play. And Entropiq know this, so they just sit back, they hold this crossfire. It's all about making a mistake here for Can. They want Entropiq to overstep, they want to force them out with the utility. It's a nice plan now, but Ridge hasn't been able to get the kill, and that forces Capacho to try and get the kill instead, and it hasn't worked out at all. Lackey's come in with a double, and it's 7-1 on the board. Entropiq, nicely played. They're very disciplined on the CT side right now, Alex.
I think it's another great example in this round of Entropiq making sure they get that early information to have those responses in time. Forrester's peeking all the way deep into B stairs. So even though he's solo B, he's getting that information so early that Entropiq can quickly get players over. You see how fast the counter utility is. They had a couple of flashes to slow Khan down on that B approach. They had a smoke up onto that one choke point. And in a couple of seconds, they had 3 players rotated over to B. Khan couldn't breach that B site. It's just the difference of Entropiq having all those protocols, all those rotations planned out ahead of time. It makes it so much easier.
Well, Edward's obviously retired from top-level professional play, went into the mountains, and now lives a minimalistic life, and he seems to have shrunk very, very small. Either that or his desk's incredibly tall. But yeah, loving that minimalist life. Edward chilling. But over here, I don't know, it's a nice bookshelf up there. They CDs, a couple of CDs in there as well, Alex. Have to say, love the CIS bedrooms, looking solid so far.
I was half expecting Edward to just be completely ungroomed and just have a massive beard and just hair everywhere.
Lumberjack style.
He's looking pretty fresh, honestly.
Man, he's looking like he's living his best life right now. Trying to qualify again, you know, being the old dog. He's the sensei, leading the new recruits to greater heights if possible.
And when you're Edward on this team, Dinko, you're the one getting the AK.
Oh, you
the
are.
one AK
yeah.
in this round.
You don't want to mess with Edward. You don't want to mess with Edward. He used to take it from Simple. He's going to take it from Laugh, Topa, Rage, and Capacha, no problem.
Can't blame him, too, because he's been getting some good kills with that AK so
solid.
far. The issue is here, just no nades for Khan. So it's so hard to breach this site. You've really got to rely on just landing some banging shots.
Yeah, you really do, and right now, Entropiq, they're confident, and Lackey and Crad working together in tandem to get these opening kills. And now Nickelback, he wants a piece of the action. He's been bored sitting back there, and Elian's going to pluck out Ridge. So that does leave just one player, and that's Topa, who's brought down it one. Entropiq already have won the half by a minimum of 1 round, and that's if Cam pulled all the way back to 8-7, which is incredibly unlikely. But we take a look at the scoreboard. Like you said, Edward certainly showing up top of the board for his team right now, 8-9. But over on the Entropiq side, 3 players on 10 kills. I did say Elian would be the player that would be in the top 3, but Lackey is he's having a good performance so far. I want to see that continue if possible.
Also really liking what we're seeing from Crad. I just feel like he's not as aggressive as he's been in the past. Sometimes I think he went for too much. Speaking of too much, Capacho getting multiple kills here. How the hell's he done that?
That's a gun round. Capacho just reamed them out. Well, Lackey, well, he's close by. He's got a double kill, and all that hard work is undone just by 1 player. But now, Laugh getting involved, and he has the last laugh. 2 kills comes through, and Lackey in the 1v3. He's got to pull off the ace in this round. They've lost track of him. He's gone over towards CT, and they have a right idea about where he could be. And Laugh is going to come over the top of construction, but Lackey's got the right read. Can he get the kill? He can't. Cam won the round, and that's all off the back of Capaccio right down the opening picks, but Laugh in the mid-round pulls it right back.
We're definitely seeing those signs of the skill on this Khan roster. I look down this squad and I think to myself, okay, there's something you can make out of this team, right? Laugh has been one of their better players. We're finally seeing that from him. Capaccio coming into play in that round. I think you've got a couple of former Na'Vi Junior players on this roster, in Topa and Capaccio,
correct.
if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
so
100%
they're getting their chance to play with Edward, the vet of the team. What a cool storyline that would be. Cut from Na'Vi Junior, cut from Na'Vi. They come back together.
The Na'Vi reject squad can.
Exactly.
Let's see if they can do anything against the likes of Elliot, Crad, Lackey performing as well. Rage obviously had played with that Hard Legion team for a little bit, so he even has some ties to the opposing side. Forrester, he's getting chunked down here. Deforestation on 20 HP. I do remember making a terrible joke back in the day about this Capaccio guy when I first casted the Na'Vi Junior team, Alex. I would call him Cappuccino. I don't know. I don't know if that's funny or not, but I tried.
That's all we can ask from you, Dinka. Try your best, buddy.
Yep. Try, and it's fail and fail, but, you know, as long as I'm trying, that's what they always say.
Oh, can't keep on running down this clock. And the last time they did this, they got absolutely banged out on that A-bomb site. This time, though, they're going for the late play into B.
Yeah, well, Lackey's over here, and he's got himself a double kill, looking for a 3K spray down, but that AUG, not good for that. Luckily, Forrester in the back at quad, making a comeback. He's going to call it a comeback. His Laugh is left alone in this 1v4, dropping back with 5 seconds left. Would definitely like to carry that AWP over and cannot die in this situation, but luckily Entropiq don't have much money left over, so they will allow him to save his weapon. It will be an AWP in play, and that will make the buy much better, right? Obviously not having that AWP would certainly weaken it across the board, but a little bit more playmaking possibility with having that sniper still in play in the hands of Ridge. And that definitely has a lot of impact, especially when you have such little utility across a couple of players. So definitely want to see that AWP sing in this round. Ridge has to have impact. Over for Entropiq, again, it's just been very simple stuff from them, and they've been very confident in just cleaning up, just team play coming in. One player's getting a multi-kill, immediately have the second waiting for the bait and switch. So I think it's just been very simplistic CT setups, and it's been very effective so far.
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether in the qualifiers, Khan were given much more in terms of fights. Because you can see in this game, Entropiq are never really forcing the issue. I think they're mostly just sitting back on sites. And because of that, they're holding good angles, they're holding good crossfires, and Khan aren't getting given the chances to get those early kills in these rounds. Whereas maybe in the qualifier, they were just getting given fights all the time, and that could have been what they relied on to open up these rounds. But right now, they're not getting any of these early picks, and Forrester has really been loving that angle out on that railing. It's an awkward one to deal with. You can see it working out for him again.
Yeah, you're 100% right. And every time, even if they go for some of those aggressive plays on the CT side, they're winning every duel for Entropiq. So, yeah, it is a little bit unfortunate to see Can struggle this much. But I would definitely agree with you that throughout the qualifiers, they have to have been given a lot more space to play with. They have to be playing against some CT sides that would be a little less disciplined, to say the least, in the open qualifier. But when you're going up against a team like Entropiq, they know how risky it is in CIS Counter-Strike to even slightly give up or play a little looser, because all of these teams have so many good players, right? This Can team, they're a team we're not really even considering as an option to go through to the main event, and yet they have legends of the CIS region like Edward on the team, Rage, a great up-and-coming player, and some unknown quantities that have played in Na'Vi Junior, right? So definitely a lot to fear for a lot of the open qualifier teams and maybe even some of the weaker teams in the closed qualifier. But Entropiq right now, a bit of a different breed. And Can certainly struggling on the T side of their map pick. Once again, letting that clock run out. It's 10-2 on the board, and heading into the last couple of rounds of this first half. A tech pause coming in here from Can. They definitely need a tactical timeout here.
We saw Edward being very vocal in that last tactical timeout, which I'm a fan of. I think he needs to be the guy to talk them up, get them back on track. For Entropiq, something I'm really enjoying is I feel like Crad is nowhere near as aggressive as I've seen him be in the past. And I'm just wondering whether Hooch is having some say in that. Because Hooch, I think, joined this team as a coach about 4 months ago now. And Crad's aggression looks so much more well-refined now on this team compared to what I'm used to. I feel like he's pushing with teammates, with a plan in mind, and he's still having a couple of those rounds every now and then where you see the Crad we know and love, where he pushes and takes fights and gets kills. But it just looks much more well-refined now, which I'm really enjoying.
Yeah, you don't mess with Hooch. If Hooch tells you to start running forward, you stop, all right? You just do what he says. You don't want to mess with Hooch, that's for sure. He's the nicest guy, but he's also someone I wouldn't mess with. That's for sure.
Definitely.
He's a good addition to the team for sure.
I'm sure he had plenty of options in CIS.
Oh, definitely.
So definitely good to see he clearly chose this team for a reason, and it's clearly been working.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously got to meet him in some of the Russian broadcast events as well, and lovely guy, very, very talented, and so I'm excited to see what he can do with his team. I think it's actually quite an exciting roster they put together. We'll see if it plays out in the last few rounds of this first half. Elian coming in with a kill onto Topa, follow-up kill from Crad as well, and from Sandbags, and throws a smoke down onto that molly. He can just stay alive in there as well. You don't have to run out of that immediately. Just throwing that smoke buys you a long time just to stay behind those Sandbags and create pressure. They know they can't walk up because you're still in that position. That's exactly what Crad is doing. Just playing with them with the distractions, peeking out, getting kills, and now waiting for his teammates to come over. 11-2 as we head into the last couple of rounds of this first half. And Entropiq are just looking absolutely flawless right now. They're just looking like a very solid side.
This is what we were concerned about. Even though I don't think Han have looked too bad, they've had some competitive rounds. You can kind of see in the economy even for Entropiq that they haven't been able to build up like $10,000, right? It hasn't just been 5 alive every round. The rounds have been fairly competitive, but it just feels like Entropiq have a bit too much as a team for Khan right now, and that nade early isn't going to help things.
Elian peeking into middle. Capacho's come in with a deagle. Headshot Topa as well up on top of the Tech 9. A quicker play here from Khan is working out, and the boost even getting a kill as well. And suddenly a 2v3. It's still winnable right now for Entropiq, but it's Khan's best chance in a long time. Bomb plant comes in. Topa trying to get away safely, but he's being tagged up and now using the default box to just try and stay alive. The pillar in front of him, keeping him at bay for now, and finally his teammates come in. That's bought so much time. This allowed Capacho to get involved, and it's still 2 players alive right now for Khan, and they get caught in the open. Capacho comes in for the 4K, and it's a 3rd round for Khan out of nowhere. It's those kind of rounds that's worked out for them. They've won 2 of those now where Capacho just pops off and has a big individual performance, but they're not sustainable. But if they can get you a couple in this first half, definitely makes it a little more doable in the second.
Absolutely, a couple of big impact rounds from him, and it's the way he's getting the early kills in the round too, which really just start to open things up, because we praised Entropiq for the rotations and the teamwork in these fights, but if you get 1 or 2 of those early kills, all of a sudden the round looks completely different. It paints a completely different picture because Entropiq won't have that same ability to set up those trade kills. So great work from Capacho in the previous round. Not so much in this one, though. Forrester found a gap on the smoke, but it's a good trade from Edward.
Good kill. Back and forth. 4v4 at the start of this one. If Khan can find themselves a 4th round to close out this first half, they can definitely make something out of that in the second. At least there's a much better chance than if you're down 12-3. And Crowd once again at Sandbags. I'm mad at my own heart, you know. I love a player that sits in the Sandbags all game, Alex. It's what I love to do. Bait my teammates playing behind the Sandbags. Get like 1 kill every 10 rounds. Crowd's got a little more than that, though.
And he's got a bit of support here in Elian, who's landed that shot. Now Nickelback here to help on this A site. 47 seconds remaining, another molly. They don't have a smoke right now. Nickelback has one, but it's not coming in. Crad's gonna burn. Nickelback's trying to see if he can trade, playing it so patiently, and in he comes. Almost a double kill, but a great turnaround from Lath, and now it's up to Elian on the hole.
Well, Elian, I love this style of play with the AWP. Can he make it work? Oh, the flick. It's nearly good enough, but he gets away. Somehow gets away with 100 HP, but Lackey's going to stop the bomb plant. And we're getting involved now with a headshot. 1v1. Elian over the top again, misses the shot. He's going to land it, though, through the smoke. Edward, I thought he had that. I thought he'd won the round. But Elian, missed shot after missed shot, but he hits the one that matters. It's 12-3 at the half here for Entropiq. And what a performance out of those top 4 players on the board. It's been a really good showing from Entropiq. A few rounds here or there for Khan, but they're being outclassed on their map pick right now.
It definitely feels that way. And it's a shame for Khan. I mean, they'll be looking at this right now on stream and being like, yeah, Khan, we're 12-3 up, right? No, that's going to change round in a second here. And Khan are going to be sad about it.
Yeah, big sad in chat. Sag. Well, unfortunately, for Khan fans, it's not 12-3, but if you're an Entropiq fan, you'll be very happy right now. Fantastic start into this tournament. Take a look at the map video on the left side as well. This is the pick of Khan. Up next will be Overpass. And if needed, we will have Ancient as the third. But right now, it's not really looking all that likely. Edward, he's being tagged up. And it's the smoke that goes in that allows the crossage into the B site. Over the top of construction. Lackey's got one here on the Glock. His second kill coming in as well. But it's Topa fighting on 3 different angles. Finally, he'll be able to die and go down. But Rage has come in to try and silence all of the T-side players. He's found one headshot onto Nickelback, but it's a 2v2 stalemate here on the B side.
Edward and Rage side by side, seeing if they can get this early kill onto Krad, who's giving them the chance for the fight on the site. He's still looking for the headshot and eventually gets it. Only Edward remaining. He's playing it patiently. He's waiting for the peaks, but Entropiq work together and Krad closes it out.
Yeah, Krad Dad coming in with 2 kills right there, 13-3. I think that was just a beautiful pistol round out of those 2 individuals. I think overall, the pistol execution was a little scrappy, Hulk. I think we'd agree with that. The smoke in the middle wasn't exactly perfect, but nonetheless, when it comes down to the clutch situation, they get all the important kills. Entropiq, they just have that little bit of flair to them when they are in those individual situations. When it comes down to those clutches or those 2v2s, they will have an advantage. So it wasn't the cleanest, but a round win nonetheless, and 13-3 up on the board. Karen coming back in with a force buy.
Okay, nice shot from Rage early. It's really testing the waters with that scout in towards ramp. Topa getting the headshot up close. Oh, he got baited in by the MAC-10, so he will be traded. Not a bad start to the round for Khan.
Not at all. I have to say, this is definitely a little worrying, especially with the damage done onto Elian. You're 1 shot away from dying to these deagles. And Rage still alive with the scout could do even more damage. Soften them up, allow those body shots to come in from the deagles to be lethal. And Rage gets aggressive, misses the close shot, but still alive through the flashbang, keeping him at bay right now. But he goes back in, and that's going to be his death sentence. Forced in with a headshot. And now they're going to try and encroach onto the A site. 55 seconds still in play. And that bomb plant going down. Drop it to 40, and now Laugh trying to spam through and deny the plant and at least do some damage, but hasn't been able to find anything. With the man down on the can side of things, it's definitely starting to look much more worrying. Sprinting into the site, 1 headshot for Nickelback. You'll add that to the collection. And right now, if you're on the CT side, there's absolutely no chance you're winning this. So I'd rather just save my deagles, the smokes, and the Kevlar into the next one, and that's what they've decided to go for. So another round added to the tally here for Entropiq.
Any fears for Entropiq have been wiped away quite quickly after they get onto that A bomb site. Just looking super solid right now on their T side. Bit unfortunate for Khan that they're not going to get too many chances here on this CT side to show us what they could do. They may actually just save and let Entropiq get 15 so they can get 1 gun round. And honestly, if I were them, I think I'd do the same here, Dinko. Just because you want at least 1 CT gun round on your map pick. You want the chance to maybe get a couple of rounds on the board with the full rifles. That's the rounds you practice. That's what you want to get in the officials. So they will be saving and likely conceding this round.
Conceding this round means conceding map point. You'll be down here on Vertigo to a 15-3 scoreline. And can obviously realize what that means for them. They're here on their map pick. They're here on the map they've decided to go and pick against the likes of Entropiq, one that they should be feeling comfortable on, one that I was hoping they'd show us something on, but it's not been the most fantastic of performances from them. Crag gets dealt with early on. Luckily, Nickelback quickly in reply, and Elliot was flying up there as well with his AK. I have to say, observers here at StarLadder have been doing a very good job catching all the action. So shout out to the whole production team, back working on some CS. Lucky to have them back in the scenes. So thank you to everybody over there in Kiev right now. Edward, oh, Hawker, you do not like to see that. You hate to see it.
Oh dear. Well, that's not ideal, is the nice way of putting it. Nade down into ramp. Here comes Lackey. Headshot with the AK. Everyone looking good on the Entropiq side. Lab's just trying to bait them in with that smoke and get some extra stats on his score sheet, but Elian won't even allow that. The AWPer putting the AK to use in this round, and Khan will finally have their chance for a full buy. It might be their only full buy here on this CT side, though. If they lose it, they're going to lose their pick.
Yeah, that's kind of unfortunate, right? You're given one gun round to defend on your map pick. It's not looking so good. It's not the most ideal situation to be in if you can, but we'll see if they can get something out of it. We'll see if they can find themselves at least a little bit of hope, a glimmer of a chance back into this one. And if they do, well, you know, they can make the scoreline look respectable. I don't see a full comeback coming in right now. I don't see them going all the way back, but if they can make the scoreline look a little more respectable, certainly get behind that. And a good start to the round here. Topa taking Elian out of play.
Putting those AUGs to use, which we have seen a fair bit of throughout this game. When you can scope in at range, they can be really good, or close range, they can be a one-shot headshot. So can the AK, though, and Krad has got that early kill, and now he might be on for more. He's all the way up ramp, and because of that, Rage decides he has to back away, but Krad wanted to see if he could do even more damage, and because of that, Edward's going to shut him down.
Yeah, Krad is not a player you want to find in a smoke, right? He's going to crack your head right off. And Cabacho now getting aggressive. He was the hero of the first half, getting a couple of rounds on the board for them. But this time a one and done. Treaded out quite quickly, and Lackey had pushed up further without even looking back. So the ball goes down again inside the site. In fact, the round is one here from Can. Rage comes in with a sweep up of two players. And Capacho actually does a good enough job to slow them down and separate them, break them up into pieces. And that allows them to get another round on the board. So maybe a small chance back into this one. Maybe a few more rounds can be added to the tally, and they will have a gun round here. But it is important that not only do they win them, but they want to make sure that they win these rounds convincingly, because obviously when you look at the economy, it's not looking so great right now for Can. So even if they win the round but they lose 3 players, your money's still going to be looking rough. So it's all about trying to be clean, trying to be clinical, and getting round wins here to pull this comeback and scoreline into a more favorable spot.
Shot fires wide from Elian, early into ramp. I do like that Entropiq had an idea as to how they were going to use Krad's aggression in that round. This is that angle that Forrester was loving, but Capacho's not enjoying it. Thankfully, Laf gets there in time, and Lackey didn't get his reload off in time. And now Topa wants even more. The aggression from Khan paying off for them. They're taking back control of ramp. They're even going for more, but Elian's able to land the AWP shot. It's back to a 2 versus 3.
I actually think there's a small chance here for Entropiq to still win this round. That's the worrying thing. We have 2 players alive, like Forrester and Elian. These are game changers. These are players that can turn these rounds in your favor. So Can make the right call to drop back and not give them any of these fights. Try and sit back in the sites, allow yourselves to play off the team play, and don't split up any further. Don't give these players any opportunities, because they certainly can pull these off. Rage is close short. Elian's aware of that possibility with the AWP. Can he get anything? The answer is going to be no. A quick headshot from Rage, but it's now Forrester who tries to get forward and in behind. But Laugh turns around for the headshot, and it's 15-5. Can find another round. Edward continuing to chill out here. He's got his little coaster. It's looking sick. And a couple more rounds added to the board.
You know what's surprising me, Dinko? This is going to sound a bit weird, but I was expecting Edward to have really hairy armpits, and he doesn't. And we get to see that on full display because
Man,
of his
well,
clothing choices today.
You really underestimate Edward's grooming, don't you? You know, you thought he's gonna be a big wild beast, but no, he's well groomed.
Yeah, he's looking good, man. Looking good. I'm glad to see Edward.
He's manscaping.
I'm glad to see it. Exactly. And I'm glad we got to see a smile on his face. You know, Cardiff won a couple of CT rounds here. They're feeling good. They're feeling happy. And they should be winning this one too. Oh, Krad's dead. He's dead. He's just so dead.
Goodbye. Yeah, good night, Crad. Sleep well. Right now, might be a bit of a sleeper round. We might fall asleep, Alex, because it is just weak weapons in play for Entropiq. We're not really expecting too much from them. I have been impressed by some of these Navi Junior players. You know, some of them have done very well outside of Navi Junior. I think, you know, Bit obviously has been added into the main team of Navi, but some of these other players in the teams that he's played with have gone on to join some rather decent CIS teams. So definitely still keeping an eye on these guys. And Pacho with the headshot. Get a second one in the SWAT, nearly a third kill up against the Pistols, but it's cleaned up. They lose a player, but other than that, nothing much to write home about. So 15-6, last round of the map possibly coming up here. Can, again, every single round, they're up against the ropes. There's no second for them to slouch. There's no second for them to forget about what is on the line here. Otherwise, they will lose their map pick.
Oh, that little gun barrel poking through the
I hate that so much.
Yeah, that's frustrating. I guess at least it's only a round where you had the pistols anyway, but Pacho's been doing well at getting some multi-kills so far. I wouldn't be surprised if he has the most multi-kills on Khan. Either him or Edward have been getting quite a few multi-kill rounds, it feels so far, and now Topa's adding to the tally. Nickelback's able to trade.
Topa, what is going on? I love it. Just jumping out through the smoke down into short. He's going for some John Wick style play, and well, Edward's gonna back him up. Crag goes down. 4 versus 3, man advantage barely in play here for Can. I thought Rage was down and out there, but luckily Edward comes in to save the day. You know what it is, Alex? You know why he's so quick? Edward shaved his armpit hair, you know? He's so fast at flicking the mouse now. He's just got all that excess weight's gone.
So aerodynamic. Nothing can slow him down. Oh,
Nothing
that flash
at all.
is so hard to deal with. Rage had to turn away and he gets swung on. Now Edward is alone on the A site right now. He's able to slow them down though, so that buys time for the rotation. And Edward's even going to get proactive.
Wow.
Oh, I didn't even see him.
Nickelback hitting the headshot. Luckily for Can, they're not really seeing too much follow-up of that force, so at least comes in, sweeps up the last defensive play on the A site. And here comes the final stand. Capacho, can he keep his team alive here on Vertigo? Their map pick coming into today. The answer is no. Forced it down with the headshot. And I have to say, Alex, a pretty clean win coming in there for Entropiq. Not really too much to write home about. Kind of what I expected coming into this first map. And I mean, there's a few positive signs coming out there from Khan, but for the most part, Entropiq looking like one of the teams will continue to favor moving through to the main event.
I think so. I think at least we got to see some of the individuals, like you said, because this Khan team, I think, could be a team to get some close games later on into the qualifier. It's just a really, really hard draw, a really hard matchup to have in your opening game of the closed qualifier, because Entropiq are probably the best team here. So at least they showed us individually they can do something against this team, and maybe they'll show us more when we get into that second map. Who knows?
Exactly. Well, we have to find out, but before we can go there, we have to go to a short break. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to miss map number 2 coming up. It's Overpass after the break.